Tropical Cyclone Faraji has more or less maintained its intensity over the past 24 hours. It's now on a collision course with Mauritius, and there is incredible model certainty now that this storm will make it dangerously close past Mauritius, which is a worrying sign indeed, especially as this storm will not be by any stretch of the imagination weak. We are expecting a storm at or greater than Category 3 on the Australian scale, Category 1 on the Saffir-Simpson scale, bringing very heavy rainfall and destructive winds to the islands of Mauritius within the next 8 days or so. Now, here's how the storm has been looking. Not great. It is being absolutely sheared to bits right now, sheared to tears. The storm is. So I'm holding with 105 knots still. 110 is on the cards, and that's my guess when I looked at the microwave imagery, but the satellite presentation has dropped significantly over the past few hours, so I reckon this storm is on the way out at 105 knots. I must say, to be at 105 knots and pretty much stabilising your intensity in around 30 knots a shear, which is what the storm is in right now, it's an impressive feat, and one that I don't reckon the storm will hold on to. The eye wall is rebuilding. It's not a complete and closed eye wall. It's undergoing an eye wall replacement cycle right now. But it's still there, and it's quite a solid eye wall as well. It's not bad. Here's the latest microwave imagery on it, and you can see that that eye wall is still there, and it is still solid. It's a ginormous eye, must I say, and that big puff of minus 90 degree convection that you saw earlier is currently covering the eye. Here's the GEFS forecast model ensembles. Now we can see there's two distinct paths that this storm could take. There's a northerly path where the storm basically tracks due west from where it is now. It will miss Mauritius by a long shot. Whether some islands towards the north of Mauritius get hit is still not out of the question by this storm. Now that is where the storm will likely make another Category 5 run in that area, 100 knots, maybe even 110 knots by the GEFS model ensembles, which is interesting because the GEFS tends to really back down the intensity of these sort of systems. So that's a worrying sign indeed, but thankfully it should stay well away from land for at least the next 10 days or so if it takes that. The second option, which is sort of the more likely at this point, and it's as much really, it's an 80 knot storm passing dangerously close to Mauritius. So if you're on Mauritius now, you can expect a storm to pass quite close to you within the next 8 days. If you are in Mauritius, you need to start preparing now and listening to all official advisories from Meteo France and the JTWC, because this storm could be coming your way very shortly indeed. Time flies when you're having fun preparing for a cyclone. So I'd go down to your shops now. Now, this is a sheet on what you need to prepare. I'd recommend taking a screenshot of it right now. You need to go down to your shops to get your canned food, your water, your batteries for your radio, your torch, that sort of stuff. Just make sure that you've got everything that you could be self-sufficient on for at least 2 weeks in case you are cut off by this storm. Now, it's a bit more onto my ideology on the intensity. Well, 105 knots is quite a strong storm considering its satellite appearance. If this was any other storm without microwave imagery, I'd be calling this maybe 75 knots. It's not a good looking storm, and it's being absolutely sheared to tears, as I said earlier. But the microwave imagery still states that 110 knots is still possible. I'm not sure how the JTWC is comfortable with 105, so I'm going with 105 knots. Now, this could change and weaken significantly after this update is out, so I'd recommend checking with the JTWC and Meteo France for the latest information on this storm. Really, it's an interesting storm. Faraji is one that could be posing quite a significant threat to Mauritius, and if you are in Mauritius, you need to start preparing for this system now, taking all precautions possible with this system. I imagine warnings and watches will be out in the next few days for you, and you should be staying well and truly updated on the Meteo France website. You're not in the cone yet. This is a JTWC forecast cone. You're not in the cone yet, but the storm is expected to speed up after the 4-day mark and race towards Mauritius. So it's an interesting one. It's a scenario that is it's not a good scenario for Mauritius right now. An 80 knot pass to Mauritius is devastating indeed. That's all that I have time for. Here's some lovely visible imagery on this storm to play out, but it's a strong storm, it's a significant storm, it's a weakening storm as well, but it could make a dangerous pass to Mauritius as a powerful tropical cyclone. That's all from me, and I'll catch you all in the next storm. Goodbye.